Right there, let me close Thunderbird so you don't get bombarded with sound. There we go. Let me move this a wee bit. Started, right, hello. How's life, how's universe, how has your week been? How has, yeah, how has everybody been? My teeth kind of hurt because it's really cold outside. I went for a walk to Tesco and now they hurt. Hello, John, if you're still kicking around, and hello, Number Stations Live UK. How you doing? How's things? Hello, John. Sorry I missed the stream. It's all right, and happy birthday. That's tomorrow, but thank you very much. I won't be streaming tomorrow, so I guess that's relevant. Yeah, crisp old 28. Yeah. How's everybody been? How's things? If I missed you last week, like John, how was your Christmas and New Year's? If you were here last week, tell me again, I might have forgotten. And, of course, what's everybody been paying attention to at CES? I'm sure that the graphics cards are of contention. No worries, John. Hope you're doing good. Yeah. We'll wait for the crowd to roll in. I'm a bit early. As usual. Not been great. Automod. Oh, it's just not showing up. It's not even automod. Like well, okay, I might not be logged in this chat actually. That might be why. um, but yeah, uh, not amazing. Health is somewhat deteriorating. I start my infusions next week. Although I had to have my blood taken 3 times for one blood test because they screwed up the sample. So that was Tuesday, or Wednesday. Wednesday. Hello Simon. Hello Luca. How you guys doing? Yeah. So I'm hoping that the infusions will help. Although I think the infusions take 2 to 4 weeks to start doing anything. So I won't find out for 2 to 4 weeks. And I am on steroids, but not the useful kind of steroids that are whole body prednisolone. I'm on um, Cortiment, which is budesonide. Yeah. Actually, I need to get a new sheet out. And they're no good. They're not helping me basically at all, which is great. So yeah, fun. Got a buckled wheel fix, and the company didn't put my original dust cap back, so I have one black and the rest silver. Wonderful. Luckily, the company I got the wheels from are sending me a set for free. Nice. No, not a good shit. No, sadly not, John. I did what? So the problem is that the prednisolone, the whole body steroids, they work really well, but especially on the full dose, they make me go literally insane. To the point where the second course of them that I had, I shortcut uh the taper. So instead of doing 8 a day for a week and then 7 a day for a week and then 6 a day, I basically took 8 and then went nah. Took 7 for like 2 days, 6 for like 3 days, and then tapered slower down on 5 and 4. Um, so yeah, it did make a difference. I was able to actually like function for a bit on them, but yeah, sadly not. Anyway, catch you later, John. Oh yeah, Luca. I tried to fit my Audi center caps to my OneDrive wheels, but the the cap like bore is just slightly smaller. And to be honest, the ones that came with it look nicer. They're the right color. They're the sort of gunmetal gray. It's the right match, so I'm happy with them. And I think I'm quite happy because they look quite like at least some stock Audi wheels. See if I can find a picture. Would have been a while ago now, actually. Did I take a picture when I swapped them? When would I have swapped them? I guess I didn't because I've just gone past August. That's July. Come on. I've got pictures of them somewhere, for fuck's sake. Come on, there's gotta be somewhere. There we go. Those are the wheels that are on. Those are my winter wheels, basically, which I quite like, and the center caps. Versus my stock rotor wheels, 5 rotors. I do like those as well, but for winter wheels in particular, those are great. Speaking of one of my center caps, broke to the wheel company. A different one want £20 per center cap or 50 for a set. Ouch. What's with my nails? They're called painted, but is that a surprise? Hello Ish, how you doing, man? How's things? Black's the only color I go for my nails to. Yeah, yeah, it's the best fit. Yeah. Things have been a bit frozen recently. You don't say. It has yeah, hell has frozen over. It's freezing. Before I turned off my solar power system that also powers my like outdoor weather station type thing that doesn't really work, just the temperature and humidity does. Um, it was reading, I think, -4 last night here in the garden. -3.6. So yeah, absolutely Baltic. Damage report. I'm not well. What's new? Guts are bad. Pain isn't horrendous. My eye did explode on Monday. My eye exploded one of the days this week. And yeah, just guts bad. So Adrock B650 Steel Legend is better than most B850. Well, better is a subjective term because from a technical level, the a B850 board of a similar class, not necessarily price but class, is probably a technically better board. You'll have better PCIe Gen 5 connectivity. You might have more PCIe connectivity a little bit. You'll probably have higher end VRMs, but you'll also be paying for that privilege. So from a like choice perspective, I would say yes, a B650 board is like if I was building an AM5 PC today, I would buy a B650 board unless I really needed the extra IO. And even then, like B850 is in a weird position where it is better than B650, but it's what is it basically? It's not even as good as B650E in a lot of cases. 6.5 dozen. And so yeah, it's all swings and roundabouts. But if I was buying an AM5 system today, I would have a B650 board in it for the most part. You know, for a workstation type thing where you're gonna have a lot of add-in cards and things. You know, in my case, I have a 10 gig NIC that I need to run externally, or run with as a PCIe card. And potentially extra storage that might be relevant. But yeah, I don't think the PCI Gen 5 really matters. Apparently, the 50 series, the new NVIDIA cards, will support Gen 5, but I'm fairly confident that we're not maxing out Gen 4 bandwidth, even on the high end cards right now. So I don't think it really matters. I don't think you notice from Gen 4 to Gen 5 PCIe slot. Yeah, I don't either. Which is which is the thing. Also did AWS training today. Nice. Nothing bad. Mine didn't explode. Yeah, it's bad that I'm used to it. I had pneumonia for Christmas and ended up in hospital on Christmas Day for the night. It's been recovering since. Fun fact: my mum passed from pneumonia, the same age, in the same hospital. Wonderful. That sounds great. uh, well, I'm glad that you're recovering. I hope you're good. Yeah, I was given a pneumococcal vaccine on the 30th of December, so that I don't get pneumonia and die. Yeah. It's like buying a monitor that doesn't use DSC. You won't notice the difference. Yeah, well, depends on your graphics card. Mostly just because it depends. Well, it depends on the graphics card and the connection because some monitors, especially like 4K high refresh rate monitors, often require display stream compression or DSE to run at 4K at 240 hertz, for example. And so, if your graphics card doesn't support it, which to be honest, it's got to be a like 10 series card or older to not support it. But if it doesn't support it, then that's a problem because you can't run your monitor at the its advertised spec. But if it does or doesn't have it but doesn't need it necessarily, then yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter. You will not notice the difference. What does everybody think of the 50 series cards? Now that we've at least had the announcements and the first party benchmarks. Did they announce pricing? Um, bu- 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 HyperX Armada 27. Well, I have to assume that is a monitor by the 27 in the name. £400 for. I mean, Well, it's currently listed for £700 on Amazon. That's really not good. Um, so to be clear, I've not tested this. I've not tested any HyperX monitors. So uh, big pinch of salt. Uh, for £400, it's probably not horrendous, but I would say that only £100 more gets you a QD OLED. So if you can save up, that's better. You can get it for €200. That changes the value proposition quite a lot because now you're not talking about a little bit more and you get a QD OLED. You're talking about comparing it to like real budget, like AliExpress, 27-inch 1440p monitors. So yeah, for €200, yes, I think that's probably good. While not having actually tested it myself anyway, just looking at specs. They all use very similar panels, so it's kind of hard to mess it up. But Hardware Unboxed / Monitor Unboxed have a review of it that you should check out. There you go. Now, did they oh, that's RTX 5000. No, I want uh I guess they haven't announced pricing yet. Oh no, they have. Hold on. $2,000, $1,000, and then 749 and 549. For that's really interesting. The 5070 Ti, it will be $750, but the 5070 non-Ti will be $550, so a $200 price gap. That's pretty significant for a Ti to a non-Ti. We'll see. I'm pretty excited to see the 5090 with all the AI gimmicks turned off. Yeah, I saw that the first party benchmarks comparing like the 5090 to the 4090 were all with different versions of frame generation on. So it's a pointless benchmark. Like you're just saying this new version of frame generation does more. Which like cool. That's not what I was asking. um yeah. There we go. 5090 was running Cyberpunk 4K native and was only 27 FPS, so not much faster than the 4090. Ouch. I mean, having played and tested Cyberpunk, it is a ridiculous game, so yeah. 5070 is going to be 4090 performance, but made up of AI generated frames. Yeah, that doesn't really matter, does it? uh, the MSI one with 5 fans made me kind of ugh because it needs that many fans. The 50 series is extra toasty. Well, the 5090 has now a 575 watt TGP, right? which is dangerously close to setting fire to a lot more graphics cards with that stupid connector. I really want to see the thermals on the FE card. Well, so the interesting thing with the FE card is that it's a ridiculously small PCB right under the vapor chamber, so it's otherwise fully blow through on both sides of the card. Like both fans blow through the card with only the vapor chamber and PCB in a tiny bit in the middle. So I think the thermals might actually be kind of decent just because they can push a whole lot of air through it very easily. So yeah. Well, the hardware will be better. There's always, it's always better, you know, spec for spec. I think one of the interesting things that I saw from the specs was that the core count has gone up dramatically, like the CUDA core count, but the clock speed has gone down a bit, which in theory should make it more stable and more energy efficient, because the power curve for these processors is a very sort of steep to then flat curve. So if you're right up on the very edge, like as you know, as much power as you can shove into the thing, reducing the power often by a considerable amount often gives you a very little performance drop, because you're sort of getting to diminishing returns. So in theory, a lower clock speed normally means lower power, but it seems not the case here. Um, yeah, it's also kind of interesting because a lot of the cards are often pre-overclocked, like they come with higher what you call it, higher TGP values out of the box, which is essentially what overclocking is these days. Just increase the power limit and let the card go wild. But there really, like, there just isn't much room for that with the single power connector. So yeah. Yeah, the die is bigger. I mean, having, I can't remember what percentage it was from 4090 to 5090. But having just way more cores to power obviously will require more power draw. I think the interesting thing is that it seems like they've gone from running the clock speed ragged and therefore drawing more power to having to pull the clock speed back to just be able to have the damn thing run, because how do you power that massive of a die on a single stupid tiny connector? Can you tell that I don't like the 12-volt high power connector? The die is 30% bigger. Jesus, that's massive. And the dies already weren't small. Third-party benchmarks are going to show if the 50 series is decent gen on gen, or if Blackwell is mostly a cash grab. Yeah, I mean, I think the third-party benchmarks are always the thing to look for, because first-party benchmarks are, how can we make this look as good as it possibly can be? Some vendors like Intel recently have been a bit more honest about it, including in the most recent launch with not Alder Lake, Arrow Lake. They're both A. They both start with A and have a lake. I get them mixed up. With Arrow Lake, they like actively admitted this ain't faster than our old shit. Like, that is as honest as you get, you know? AMD is less honest, close, but less. And then, yeah, Nvidia's just number go up, we good. Even if it is using, one is using AI frame generation that generates one frame extra, essentially doubling your frame rate, and then the other card is doing 3 new frames for every, you know, tripling it. Anyway, where was I? They have a latency problem, more frame big latency, as in with the frame generation, so that the interesting thing about frame generation, and this is something that I've covered in the videos, specifically looking at latency as well, with AMD solution and with Nvidia frame gen, like DLSS frame gen, is that the way that the frame generation software or features work is that it renders the current frame and the next frame, and then before it sends any of that to the screen, it then does the interpolation between the frames to generate a new frame in between, and then it shows you the current one, and then it shows you the generated one, and then it shows you the actual next real new frame. That process adds latency. At very least, it adds frames worth of latency. Now, obviously, if you're running 240 hertz or even one of those, ridiculous 540 hertz displays, your frame time latency, you're not adding a huge amount there. You're talking about at 240 hertz, what is it, 4.2 milliseconds or something. And obviously at 500 hertz, you're talking about 2 milliseconds. So, like, you're not adding a massive amount, but now you're adding 3 frames in between, and you now get minimum of 3 or 4 frames of latency, depending on how you count. If I can get my hands on a 50 series card, which isn't a guarantee, I barely got any 40 series in, I will test that multiple frame generation feature and look at the latency, because I think it will be interesting. Imagine how the devs feel having to implement all these features in the games. Yeah. Some say the image quality will be worse. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, because having to do interpolation, so in building the response time tools, especially, one of the features that this does is interpolation between the gamma table. So your monitor doesn't render brightness linearly. It's not, RGB 0 to RGB 51 is not a straight line worth of more brightness. It's a very steep curve. It's a power of 2 actually, or 2.2 normally, because it's how your eyes work basically, and how your brain perceives light. Doesn't really matter. Point is that it's not a straight line. But the thing is that me trying to read out every single RGB value, 0 to 255, would take an age. It wouldn't be very accurate, because the actual light level difference between RGB 0 and RGB 1, at least on not an OLED, or let's say RGB 51 to RGB 52, really isn't that much of a difference. And so, yeah, what I do is I measure, I think it's 15 points across that curve, and then I interpolate. I think it's a natural spline interpolation between them. Point is, I have some experience in interpolating between data points. Very basic, just a list of integers, and then interpolating between, and then actually extrapolating past to get higher than our RGB 255 to be able to calculate overshoot. So I know what the process, like how the process kind of works, and what I can tell you is that it's not an exact science. Well, it kind of is and it kind of isn't. But when you're talking about doing this on the fly in games with as little latency as possible, and now you're talking about the that same function is actually drawing 3 frames at once, I can see why that might end up causing some visual artifacting, let's say. Because interpolating between 2 real frames is hard enough, especially when there's often not significant difference, like something actually shows up in that new frame. Now it's difficult. So yeah. Threat Interactive did a really good video on DLSS called Fake Optimization in Modern Graphics and How We Ought to Save It. That sounds really cool. If you're on Discord, can you message, stick that in the general or stream chat? I'd love to check it out later, but your chat message will disappear before I have a chance to Actually. If it is that one, Ish, please ping it on Discord. I'd love to take a look. After the stream, I'm not a React prick. Ish, can you help me out here? On the either translate that for me or I mean oh, do you see the strange 90-degree 4090 prototype? That Gamers Nexus has. I did. I saw it, and it was pretty pretty cool to see the full flow through design and that right angle PCB. Like I can't imagine that it would actually have gotten into production, just because of how complicated and how many like points of failure there are. And I imagine assembly would be difficult as well, but it is really cool to see. And ridiculously thick. Develop my new site from scratch, because every time I use WordPress or someone else's code got hacked, ran it through a vulnerability check and 0 threats. Nice. Fair. I mean, it sounds like an awful lot of work to have any even close to similar amount of functionality, but yeah, fair enough. 575 watts is scary close to the 600 watt limit of the 16 pin. Yeah, I mean, I already, as you see, I don't trust the 16 pin either. And yeah. Thanks, Ish. The only word I recognized there was Gboard, but it was a bit often. Yeah. Now I want to know. Oh, it was oh, that's funny. It was a clip. It's a like welcome message from Gboard. What was it? There was other. My opinion. AMD knew that Nvidia sucked all the oxygen out of the room. Not tipping their hand too early might give them a chance to get the message out without having to overcome the Nvidia bling. AMD had a 45-minute slot in CES and didn't feel confident enough to talk about GPUs. Yeah, I mean, so the new AMD GPUs, AMD themselves claimed the top end 9070 is comparable to 4070 Ti on the top end, which like raw power for power probably isn't too bad. We will have to see what other options are available, and to be honest, I would really like some more lower end options, because right now, if you're in the like £200 price range, there aren't any new cards you can really buy. So you're mostly just looking at used cards, which is ridiculous. There should be good options. Like, you should be able to get, what is it, a 2080 levels of performance for £200. Like, or 9070 XT, that's the one. Yeah. I'm hoping that there are some better value options available for, especially from AMD. Hello Jim, how you doing? AMD's got the goods on pure rasterization over Nvidia, but their FSR isn't as good. I mean, that kind of makes sense. I think FSR is still in the in-game one, isn't it? It's RSR that's driver based. AMD has a habit of taking what Nvidia does and then making it kind of free and open source and like easier to work with, which is a smart move for sure. But that does also often mean some compromises where Nvidia can like go to the developer and say, hey, you need to implement our code in your render pipeline so that we can, basically control your render pipeline for you because we know our graphics card better. Whereas Nvidia AMD is kind of like, hey, can we help you out just a little bit? Here's the free thing that you can totally do for like no effort. Hee hee hee. um Different vibes, um I didn't see that, Jim. So the 5090 is not the full scale die, is it? Like the what would be GB 102? I can never remember what Nvidia's die code names are. Um, stuff. I'm interested in the new AMD GPUs, and it's sad that they dropped the ball and didn't show them. Yeah, I mean, I think like from everything that I heard prior to CES, the AMD cards were further away than CES, but they knew they had to at least gently mention it so that it didn't seem like Nvidia was running away with things. I mean, they are, but for different reasons. Yeah. GB 202. Thanks. I knew it was GB because Blackwell, but I never remember the numbers. And the numbers go up for the smaller dies, which is I designed the DB schema myself too, all the PHP and JavaScript. The only way these days, get it how I like. Supported enough application now to know it's decent. Nice. Wow, awesome. So basically they made the 80 class this time around 2 grand. Yeah, yeah. All FSR really did was make GTX cards last longer. I mean, yeah. That's kind of the funny thing about having it be like free and open source is that you end up with what you call it obviously AMD makes those features as a selling point for their own cards, but they also end up yeah, making them uh making other cards do better too. ah, ah, oh. Um, I've heard AMD are having problems with the drivers, so they didn't show them. But that was just a rumor. Fair. That didn't. I haven't heard that. I heard the cards were further away personally, but I mean it's all rumors anyway. Armor Box has a preview of FSR4 from CES. Looks like a real improvement over FSR3. Hard to say if the demo is indicative of real progress or cherry picked. I mean, if it's being shown off at CES, the chances are it is cherry picked. That's how the shows work. It's one of the reasons. Well, it's one of many reasons why I don't care to go to shows. Even like there isn't any good ones in the UK anymore, but like Gamescom and stuff. Is that it's only just the most showy offy version of whatever new thing it is. So it's not really valuable to me. Like I'm glad people are there and talking about it, but yeah. 90 Thank you, Essentialist. 9070 XT does have three 8-pin connectors, so that's a good thing. Good. I'm glad they stuck with it and haven't moved to the stupid one. 5090 is only 2 slots. It's not the big card in this series. Yes, with an asterisk that they have redesigned the PCB and cooler so that what you call it? There is much better cooling with this card, at least in theory. I think it's a very small PCB in the middle, a vapor chamber cooler, and then straight flow through on both sides of the card. I think that's going to be a pretty big deal for the cooling and performance, and why it might be 2 slots instead of three, because it is like it's a 575 watt card. Like, this is more power than the 4090, just in power consumption, not in output. In consumption, it is a significant increase over the 4090. So the fact that it's only a 2 slot card, I think, is indicative of the cooler design rather than of the card's performance itself. I think the 5090 is also using liquid metal, so that helps for heat transfer. That makes sense. I mean, like I said, I believe it's that vapor chamber cooler in the middle, which, again, if they're mounting it that way, liquid metal is a well, very good thermal conductor, but a pretty standard choice for that sort of configuration. Thank you for your 8 whole pounds, Potentialist, or should I say your £4.50 or whatever I get, or is it less than that? Is it £3.50? I can't remember. Are vapor chambers just fancy heat pipes? I mean, kind of. They're all about heat dissipation and moving heat from one place to another. Generally speaking, vapor chambers tend to be a bit more efficient than heat pipes at doing it. But yeah, I mean, especially when you're talking about that much heat and that much power. Yeah. I mean, for those that don't know, the way that heat pipes work is that it's a sealed copper tube with a wick in the middle and then a fluid, basically. And you heat one side, that the heat pushes the hot fluid to the cool side, and then the fluid can travel back along the wick to get to the hot side again when it's cold, sort of convection cycle. The problem can often be with too much heat in a heat pipe. You essentially dry out the wick, and so there's no circulation again, and then that becomes a problem. If the 9070 is more than $500, is it DOA? Then what was the 9070 will be a 4070 competitor, so it by AMD's own reckoning. So yeah, obviously it depends what the actual performance is like. But yeah. Jim, I mean, yeah. I mean, by looking at the card that Gamers Nexus has, it looks like they're considering a 4090 Ti or a Titan class card last gen too. Yeah. 5070 is the same performance as 4090 if you use three fake games per real frames. Jesus. How about I give them fake money as well? Yeah, can I give them 3 fake pounds for every 1 real pound I give them? Oh. Oh dear. Fake frames for everyone. Indeed. Oh, Jesus. FSR 3 is not bad. I don't think so either. I think like frame gen, that is, the upscaling is still horrible. Well, so the thing is that, I mean, to be clear, I use 3060 at the moment. I really need to buy a new graphics card. But I don't use AMD FSR all that much. I mean, obviously FSR does work, but if I have the choice, I would use DLSS because I have the option. But when I have used it, I haven't been overly concerned. I suppose my my usage experience is limited to often brief testing and like benchmark runs and stuff, so perhaps I'm not paying attention as much as I should. I'm looking forward to the real world release of B750 as well. It would be interesting to see the GPU deathmatch with real numbers. Same. Wait, B750? Is that Intel's? Yeah, because no, I'm trying to remember what Intel's cards are called. Because there was the A7, A. Fuck, Jesus. Nope, brain's gone. Never mind. Was it A750 and A770? B580. Yeah. Wait. My head hurts. I'm going to bed. With such prices, I go mid-range, although maybe the 9070 XT if AMD don't F up the price. Fair. It's likely to be the next Battle Mage release. Right, got it. The problem with the FSR, at least to my eye, is even with a ton of sharpening, the game still looks blurry. Fair. Celeste should be the next after Battle Mage. Is that the actual name? Is it Alchemist Battle Mage? Why couldn't we just have MSA for everything? But where would you get the performance? Oh. One of the funny things about all of the various medications that I taken and then being like warned about, you know, like if you have X side effects, you should see a doctor, whatever. And one of the regular ones is, you know, if you have pain in your chest, tightness of breath, etc. The problem is that I've had pain in my chest, tightness of breath, etc. Like racing pulse, whatever, for years. And every time I go to the doctors about it, they say, "Oh, you're too young to have had a heart attack." Piss off. Oh, we've hooked you up to an EKG and you're fine right now, so screw you. Like, thanks. But yeah, one of these days I will have an actual heart attack, and I won't know it. I won't be able to tell it apart from all the rest of the referred pain and whatnot. Fun times. Hello, Elephant Tech Game. How you doing? How am I? Not well. Not well. Hardware Box showed us impressive FSR advancements earlier today. They had side by side Ratchet and Clank, and it was damn impressive. We were talking about that earlier, actually. I'm not positive that they'll stick with A570B, A750 to B750, A770 to B750, but 770, but the precedent has been set. There you go. Attack, just don't have a skill issue, mate. If only. Has there been anything else you've seen at CES that has piqued your interest? Oh, thanks, issue. Fair play. On the reading front. Nice. The chandelier thingy. Please do explain. I have not seen that. You missed saying Jensen's path trace jacket. LG display thing. Right, nice. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but sounds cool. Jensen Wong's jacket gets more shiny the more GPUs you buy. Yeah, the more GPUs you buy, the more path traced reflections and lighting, subsurface scattering you get. Oh dear. The interesting thing for me with the new graphics cards is that the VRAM is still, besides for the 5090, which now has, was it 32 gigs? The rest of them are shit. Was it 16 for everything else? And 12 for some of them? Like, man, that's bad. Ooh, that is cool. Even I was impressed by LG's gigantic transparent OLED chandelier of hopes and dreams, but I'm still not buying one. What a headline from PC Gamer, it seems. Oh, amazing. I mean, that's cool. Having a transparent OLED is pretty sweet. Where's that one? Go away. LG's transparent OLED, 60 grand. That's not far off my mortgage. Reflex 2 looks interesting. What do you think? I haven't seen that actually. I mean, it's going to be still in driver, no, in game, isn't it? But I haven't seen what's new about it. Non-essentialist. 60 grand in micro, no, nano pennies maybe. Micro LED, macro price. Can't hardly wait for the 5060 to come out with 8 gig on a 64-bit bus. Yeah, yeah. Are you happy that 40 series gets most of the DLSS 4 features except multi-frame gen? I mean, I guess so. That feels like a consolation prize, doesn't it? Like, well, we'll give you some of them without the main feature. All the benefits of OLED without the trouble. Oh, for micro LED. Yeah. There's too many blank LED. Like, there's, OLEDs, there's QLEDs, there's mini LEDs, there's micro LEDs. It's just, there's a lot of blank LED. 4,000 nits, even 10,000 nits. So suntan LED. Actually, because I'm a nerd, I know I've looked up that the sun I think is something like 4 billion nits. uh, um, at peak in summer and the Sahara Desert or whatever. I don't know, but 37. Nvidia released an ARM-based PC for $3,000. It's going to be interesting. Nvidia to take on PlayStation and Xbox, perhaps. I suspect that it's probably more in a swing towards or it was almost hedging their bets in the future because there are a lot of new uh, ARM-based machines that like desktop machines like the Ampere chips that are sort of server chips but can be used as desktops or workstations, and those are looking really interesting. Um, so yeah, I suspect that Nvidia is sort of hedging their bets on that front. Nvidia tried to buy ARM. I think it didn't go through, but yeah. Thoughts on Nvidia laptop pricing? I haven't seen Nvidia's laptop pricing. Is it bad? um, 160K in pure cash a day. I mean, you'd fill up your house quite quick, couldn't you? That surely is a make it faster than you can spend it problem. Surely. Well, actually, I don't know. um, this is a couple trains of thought. So I was thinking about the idea of having £60,000 or dollars per day, and then thinking about how that's kind of like Brewster's Millions. But if you modernize that to sort of Brewster's Billions, and then I was thinking about so the whole point of Brewster's Millions is that he has a uh, mm, an old relative who has died and a very 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 wealthy relative, but basically the old relative wants the somewhat younger uh, Rooster to basically hate money, um, like not want to go and blow the whole cash. So part of the will, like the conditions of the will, is that he has to spend. I can't remember what it was, but it was something like 10 million in a week, or I can't remember the exact, but a large amount of money in a short space of time with a couple conditions like you're not allowed to, or you're only allowed to donate, 10%, you're only allowed to whatever, and you cannot have, like, you can't just buy a load of stuff and just have assets at the end, you have to spend it without essentially getting anything in return, if that makes sense. Yeah, not on himself. Um, and uh, it's an interesting film. You should watch it. But if you were to modernize that, I was thinking about a way that you could, spend quite a lot of money quite quickly. And I was thinking, well, you could sign up for a pre-order for a one of the, $5 million hypercars, because the chances of you ever getting it at the end very slim. Yeah. That was a very long way to tell you something really stupid. Anyway. Money makes things easier. It doesn't buy happiness or purpose. Just temporary thrills and peace. Well, yeah. So the phrase "money doesn't buy happiness" I think is only half a phrase, which is pretty common. And it is often used to push down on people asking for bare necessities, um, rather than people reaching for a life of luxury kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I would rather be rich with all the same problems I have than poor with all the same problems I have. You know, because money is what makes the world go around here. So um, the more of it you have, the easier your life is. Doesn't make it, you know, as you say, pure happiness or purpose, but it allows you to. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a tank, which is kind of the same thing. Yeah, I can buy a fighter jet if you have enough of it, and that's really fun. Hope you're doing well. You seem good in spirits. Yeah, I mean, physically I'm not doing well. But it is my birthday tomorrow, so I'm sort of in the, the festivities already. uh, AMD Strix Halo 395 looks amazing. Maybe I didn't get the part name right. Yeah, I'm not super happy with their naming. It's Strix Point, isn't it? Which I don't know how they got away with calling it Strix anything with Asus sitting right there. um, anyway, I think that I'm going to leave it there. And go enjoy myself. I will catch you all tomorrow for probably a highly contentious video. Monday for something more usual. And next Thursday for a stream. Yeah. And we'll catch you all then. Right. Bye.